Hey, good morning, everybody. Denise with Lazy K Mountain Homestead. Well, hope y'all are doing well. And it's Sunday morning, and we're getting Willis ready to go off to work. He always leaves on a Sunday morning. And I thought I would go ahead and bake some bread for him to take on the road. So it's pretty early here, and so I am up. I hope I'm awake. So anyway, let's put this together. This is going to be light rye, R-Y-E, bread. I have got some dark rye flour. I went over to the Mennonites here in Muddy Pond, Tennessee, and I picked up some rye flour, and this is my rye. I got about, I think, 5 pounds for under $5, so I thought that was great. Also picked up some buckwheat flour too that I make pancakes with, and I'm gonna try to make a buckwheat whole wheat bread. I've never made that before, so that'll be down the road. But anyway, we're gonna put this bread together. The recipe that I'm using is coming from the Better Homes and Gardens cookbook. It's a tried and true staple. When I was a young woman, we used to always get these cookbooks when we got married. That was like the gift that you always wanted. It has all these great recipes in there. So I hope you'll look for one of these. I'm sure you can get it on Amazon or Kindle or thrift store, wherever they may still sell them. Probably do. My son actually gave me this a few years ago. But anyways, I made this bread a couple weeks ago, and I wanted to go ahead and show you what it looks like. This is the bread. It's the artesian loaf. Oh, it smells so good. It's a chewy bread, and it also has caraway seeds in it because we like rye bread with the caraway in it. And instead of using brown sugar this time, I'm going to use a brown sugar replacement, and this is Swerve brand. Now, I have used this before, and for me, in my opinion, this is the best sugar replacement that you can use. It's 0 calories, it's plant-based, and there is no aftertaste when you bake. A lot of them that I have tried in the past, there's like this artificial flavor, and that's one of the reasons I usually bake not using a sugar substitute. But I'm going to try this because I've been on Weight Watchers since July, and I've lost 28 pounds, and I thought, well, let me give this a try because it would be a little bit better if it didn't have the sugar in it, even though it's just a 1/4 cup. Now, getting back to that, if you want to use a 1/4 cup of brown sugar, or you can use a 1/4 cup of honey or a 1/4 cup of white sugar, anything like that you can use in place. You can also use that agave or monk fruit. You could use that in this recipe because it's really versatile. Okay, so I've got everything already measured out, and the first thing we're going to do is take a sip of coffee because, like I said, it's early. And I am going to go ahead and put 2 cups of bread flour in my sifter. That does call for bread flour and rye flour. And I'm going to go ahead and just sift this through. And you know, if you watch my videos, you know I like to sift things. It's just the way I was taught, and I just like doing it. It's kind of comforting to sift things. Okay, so to that we're going to add 1 packet of active dry yeast right to the flour. Okay, and to that we're going to add 2 cups of warm water. Now your water needs to be between 120 and 130 degrees Fahrenheit, and we're just going to pour all that in there. And we are going to use my dough whisk here and just kind of lightly swish that around, just to get it mixed up with that flour. Okay, so we've got it all together. This recipe does not call for you letting your yeast bloom. And like I said, I've made this a couple of weeks ago and I know it works. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to add the next ingredients, which are your brown sugar, your oil, and your salt. Okay, now I'm using the Swerve. It looks just like brown sugar. Let me bring it up there so you can see. Just like brown sugar, and it's packed. And if you see, it just feels just like brown sugar. Smells like brown sugar. So I'm just going to dump that in there. And what else did I say we're going to put in there? Brown sugar, oil, 2 tablespoons of oil right here. And I just use regular vegetable oil. I don't think it matters what kind of oil you use. If you want to use olive oil, that's up to you. And then 1½ teaspoons of salt. I'm just going to go ahead and just sprinkle that over like so. And then we're going to give this a mix. Okay? This makes 2 loaves of artesian bread. The recipe does call for it to be artesian bread, but it says if you want, you can put it into 2 regular loaf pans. That's up to you. Okay, so next we are going to go ahead and you can use this in your mixer, or you can go ahead and mix this by hand for 3 minutes, and that is actually what I'm going to do. And I'm not going to make you sit here and watch me. I went ahead and set my timer for 3 minutes, and I'm just mixing it like this with my Danish dough whisk. So I'll be back in. Okay, this is finished mixing by hand, but you can do it in the mixer for 3 minutes. So go ahead and have that done. And now the recipe says add your rye flour. I'm going to go ahead and put that in my sifter. There you go. I'm going to sift that through. That's 1½ cups of rye, and this is dark rye. And like I said, I get it at the Book of Mennonite. You can get it at probably your like Walmart or somewhere. I have a hard time finding it other places, so I do like to go to the Mennonites for stuff like that. And then also we're going to add our caraway seeds at this point. It calls for 1 tablespoon of whole caraway seeds. Now we like a lot of caraway seeds, so I'm actually going to add about 1.5 tablespoons. Okay. And now we are going to go ahead and mix this together. All right. And then we are going to add as much of the bread flour as possible. Now this is a pretty sticky dough. And what I had measured out for the bread flour was 4½ cups. You may use all of that, you may not. So I'm just going to go ahead and put 2 more in, and that will actually make it 4 cups of bread flour, because I had to put 2 cups in at first. 2¼ cups rather. Alright, let me turn my washing machine off because it's going crazy. I'll be right back. Having the washing machine right off the kitchen, which a lot of us do. Okay, and if you hear the hammering, Willis is outside working on our porch. Alright, and I'm mixing this together, and I'll probably get in there with my hands. Okay, so like I said, that is 4 cups of bread flour and 1½ cups of rye. And my hands were clean, but I just did go turn off the washing machine. Alright, so what we're going to do now, see, it is sticky. And I'm going to go in here and just see what else I can add to it, because I don't like to waste flour. The price of flour is outrageous. I went to my local store, local Monterey food store in Monterey, Tennessee, and a few weeks ago they had flour on sale for $3.99 for a 5-pound bag. So I got as many as they would let me. Okay, so this is looking good. So I'm going to go ahead and move my cookbook over there. I'm going to go ahead and turn my dough out. onto my pastry sheet. This is what I like to knead on. And we're going to want to knead this for 6 minutes. And I'll get all this stuff out of the way. Now, as I'm kneading, I'm going to have to add more flour because it is going to be a sticky dough, but you don't want it to be a dry dough. Now, and also what I do, and I learned this a long time ago with kneading, I will add a little bit, just a little bit of your oil. This also adds fat to it. This is just veg oil. Just a minute and a half to go for our 6 minutes. Now I can go ahead and add a little bit more flour here. And the flour that I've been adding is bread flour. It is not the rye. Rye flour is a heavy flour, and that's what really makes this nice and chewy. And I can feel it. You're kneading, and when you're kneading, what you're doing is you're releasing the gluten in the bread. And that is what makes it spongy and elastic, and it also helps the yeast rise. And then everything works together. It's really a big old science project. So if you love science, you need to start baking. I always love science. Okay, almost there. See a little bit of sticky. You can feel when it's sticky. And then what we're going to do is we are going to let this rise as soon as I'm finished kneading it. Back in our bread bowl, we're going to put a little bit of oil in there, kind of swish it around your bowl, and we'll put our dough in there, and we will let it rise till double. Now that could take an hour to up to 2 hours, but you do want it to rise double of what your actual dough is. So there is our dough. Okay, let me get my bowl. And you just want a little bit of oil in here. You don't want a whole bunch. If you did put a whole bunch accidentally, you're going to want to pour it out. Okay, so I just use my hand, put that in there, kind of turn it, and then I go ahead. There is my dough. I'm going to take a piece of plastic wrap. Just gently put that on there, like so. And I use these flour sack because they're nice and light. And I'm just going to go ahead and put this inside of my oven because it's kind of cool in the house today. And I had it on warm, and then I'm going to turn that off because I don't want it to be too hot. Just set this inside there. Sometimes the heat of your oven light will be enough to let it rise. But nothing will melt because warm is just warm. It's not enough to melt that plastic, in case you're wondering. Okay, so let me go ahead and put that in here. And we will be back as soon as it has doubled. So see you in a few. Okay guys, it's been a couple hours. We have doubled in size, as you can see. There you go. Let me go ahead and back this up a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. There we go. There. All right. So what we want to do is we take our plastic off. We just want to punch down, and that's going to release the gases in there. And we're just going to go ahead and turn it out onto this lightly floured surface that I already have here. Right, here's that. And we are going to go ahead and cut this in half for 2 loaves. So we can see what I'm doing here. Yeah, there you go. Cut it. I find a bench scraper works really good when you're dividing dough. All right. We're just going to punch that down, getting the gases out, and we're going to let this rest for another 10 minutes, and then I'll be back. Okay guys, it's been 10 minutes. We let them rest, and then we've got both of these doughs here. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab our cookie sheet. Now, like I said, I'm making these artesian. If you want to go ahead and put them in a loaf pan, you'll need 2 loaf pans, and you want to grease them lightly. You can either put parchment or the silicone mat, right here. And you're going to go ahead and just get some cornmeal, and we're just going to kind of lightly spread that all around there. Okay, and I'm going to put both of these doughs on here, and I'll be cooking them on here. But we're going to go ahead and shape them into balls, and then we're going to let them rise for a half hour to an hour, just so they get double in size. Okay, so what we're going to do, the recipe says to just kind of stretch this and form it into a ball. So I like to kind of knead it into a ball, because I found that if I just like tuck it under and stuff, when you bake it, you're going to have pieces that aren't together, if that makes sense. And you slice it and it kind of falls apart because you've just basically just like put that like that, and it's not going to bake together. So I'm just going to go ahead and just knead this, and there we go. That was easy, wasn't it? Okay, and then I'm just kind of tucking and rolling, and I'm making this into a ball. And you want it to look like it's all one piece. That's your goal there. Okay, so there we go. I'm gonna go ahead and put it right there. See, they look nice. Now, after this is risen for about a half hour to an hour, depending on what I think, but I don't want to go over any more than an hour because it can overproof and then it will fall flat. We'll go ahead and we'll take our scoring tool, which I have. I got this on Amazon. It's basically a razor blade, but it's made for bread. Or if you don't have that, you can go ahead and use a really sharp knife, and we'll get to that point when we're ready. So I'm going to go ahead and put another piece of saran wrap or plastic wrap over this, just lightly covering it, and I'm going to stick it back in my oven. I've got it on warm, and we will put this back on here, and we'll go ahead and stick it in the oven. I like to warm it up to warm, and then I like to go ahead and turn it off. And there we go. And we will be back in about 30 minutes to an hour. I'll let you know when we get back. Okay, it's been about a half hour on the second rise, and you can see they're nice and big. Look how nice they rose. I've got my oven preheated at 375 Fahrenheit. I'm going to go ahead and gently take off this plastic wrap. You want to gently take it off because you don't want to disturb your rise. Now what I'm going to do is take my blade here, and I'm just going to kind of go like that and just make a little design. And what that is, you don't want to go too deep. It just makes a real pretty design. You can see the little seeds everywhere. What I also did was I put a little cake pan full of water in the oven while it was preheating, and that'll kind of help give this a crusty crust. So we'll go ahead and put this in now for between 20 and 30 minutes. The last time I made this, it was right about 20 minutes. I checked it at 20 minutes because I could smell that it was getting done. So we will be back as soon as the bread is done, and show you what it looks like, and then hopefully Willis will feel like trying some. So we'll see you in a few minutes. Make sure I got the right one. Okay guys, we're back, And we're gonna slice the bread, and Willis is gonna try some. We went ahead and let this rest about 10 minutes before I sliced it. Oh, it's a beautiful crumb. Look how nice that looks.
Yeah.
Smell it. Wow. Whew. You know, I like this bread because you can slice it thin.
It's good too.
Yeah. And look, it's hot, and I can still slice it that thin. Sometimes homemade bread you can't.
I'm gonna take that with me for next sandwiches.
Yeah. There you go. Here's the taste test. Is it good?
Oh, it's good.
And that has the brown sugar Swerve in it.
Real good bread.
Okay, well, I hope you guys will give it a try. I'll have the description in the description box. I mean, the recipe in the description box. But it's out of this Better Homes and Gardens cookbook. And hope you'll like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you real soon with another video. Have a great day. Bye.